and it's another Thursday with my man Jovan. What's going on, pal?
I'm doing good. How about you, Rich?
I'm doing real well. Always good to talk to you, and we always appreciate a couple moments. All right, let's start with the NBA. Let's start with the mess that is the Philadelphia 76ers. First, how about Embiid's performance last night? And we've seen now 40-1, 15-1, 12-1 entering that game against Orlando after 50 points. I think the last time I checked, 7-1 to win the NBA MVP. Overall thoughts on Embiid's night?
Yeah, I thought he played incredible, right? This whole entire month, even going back to last month, he's just been on another level, playing even better than he played last season, right? When a lot of people thought he possibly should have won MVP. I mean, the tear he's on, he's scoring 30 points a night look like he's scoring 20 points a night right now. That's just how dominant he's been. And then for him to score 50 in 27 minutes, that's ridiculous. That's almost like something we see a guard do, right? When we see a guard get hot from the three-point line or from the mid-range and they're cooking. But to see him playing the way he's playing is a good sign for the Sixers. It's a good sign for his MVP chances because right now you got to say, out of any other year this year, it's really wide open, right? Steph Curry's kind of cooled down. Kevin Durant's hurt. Giannis is being Giannis. The Bucks are still there. But you got guys like Embiid and Ja Morant who are really making a serious push to be in an MVP conversation.
Excellent point you bring up. I echo those sentiments. I brought it up in the 4 o'clock hour. If there was ever a year, right, we always talk about in the NFL, hey, if there's a year you can kind of pick off Brady and the Pats or whatever it is, Mahomes in Kansas City, maybe now Tampa and Brady, but you get the point. If there's ever a year where the NBA MVP race is open, it would be this year for Embiid. And then you got Maury going on Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio, talking about the potential moves or the trades with Ben Simmons, and all these reports are coming. Is it Portland? Is it Sacramento? Is it Golden State? I mean, I don't know how you can be a Sixers fan right now and trust this GM and trust that he knows what he's doing or is doing what's best for the franchise, and the franchise is the big man. You center around that. You are wasting his prime. So when you basically hear the GM come out and say he's not going to budge months ago, he's not going to crack, this can go on and on and on to, I'm not saying softening the stance, so to speak, but kind of paraphrase today, well, we're still kind of listening to the offers, and we know what's been the rumblings and out there. I mean, look, man, you got to get pennies on the dollar for Ben Simmons, so be it. You have to move him prior to the deadline. And I'm not confident that he's going to get moved.
Yeah, it's really up in the air. Hearing him talk, today, for me, I'm looking at it probably like a 35-65 split. 35 meaning that he might get dealt. I'm not really confident either just because this thing has drawn out so long. And I honestly don't even think the Sixers thought this would go this long. In regards to Simmons not even playing basketball, right? Sure. Like, you would think that at this time of the season that Simmons would be on the floor. He plays well. His trade value goes up. They can be able to send him on his way. Everybody wins. Now they're in a spot where he's not playing. Teams are probably hesitant on giving them, like you said, if you got to take pennies on the dollar, you got to take pennies back on the dollar to move them. But the Sixers' problem in this situation is that they're trying to get the best value obtainable, and that's hard to do when teams know that you have to trade this guy and know that he hasn't played, since last summer. Yeah. So it's really the ball's in the other team's court, right? They can make the demands and say to the Kings, you can say, I'm not going to give you, Tyrese Halliburton. I'm not going to give you De'Aaron Fox because what am I going to get with Ben Simmons? Am I sure Ben Simmons is going to show up? Is he going to play? Is he going to be engaged on the floor? So when you see situations like that, and you just hear all these very straight reports, eventually you think something will come to a head eventually by the February 10th deadline. But right now it's very murky because we're not seeing a lot of movement from a lot of teams around this time of year, which is kind of interesting. It's been kind of silent on multiple fronts.
Do you think if Embiid can kind of keep up this pace, I mean, the one thing we got to always remember, tough for him to play a full season, but if these numbers continue, and let's just say this team is a 500 team or a couple games over 500, and they get into the playoffs and get bounced. I mean, we know it's a regular season award, but do you like Embiid right now? Would you take a flyer and a futures bet on Embiid to win the MVP?
Oh, yeah, 100% sure. I think last night it was at plus 800, I believe, at most sports books, and that was what, last week? I think it was, like you said, 15-1, 40-1 a few weeks ago. So at plus 800, if you can get them at plus 800, I definitely think it's the right move to do right now, because I don't think you're going to get better prices, because if he keeps on playing better, we're going to hit that, 3-1, 2-1 odds, and you're not going to get much, value back for your dollar. So I would definitely go ahead and get that right now, if possible.
I wanted to get your thoughts out west with the Lakers. We had Jonathan Marshall on in the 4 o'clock hour, NBA Insider, and I said, look, man, this is a flat-out mess. And the fact that, what do you do with a player like Westbrook, right? And the fact that the organization gave the head coach the okay to bench him. I mean, my goodness, that kind of tells you all you need to know about what's going on with the Lakers and Frank Vogel.
It does, and it just also shows that that them getting Westbrook, it was a bad fit. It was a bad schematic fit, and they took on a large contract, which also kind of hurt their team building, right? And they couldn't really build those pieces that they needed to help facilitate having AD, LeBron, Westbrook. They had to go sign guys like Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, Kent Bazemore, Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza. I mean, the names don't get better, right? You got Malik Monk on a cheap deal. You got Kendrick Nunn on a cheap deal. Okay, you got a couple young players on cheap deal, but they're not players that move the needle. And then you compound that with Westbrook being Westbrook and him, having bad shooting performances. The game earlier season where he had, a whole bunch of turnovers. It's just not been a good mix for this Lakers, for this Lakers team. And this could be, like I think you said earlier in the show, this team possibly won't make the playoffs, and it wouldn't be surprised. Even if they do make the playoffs, it wouldn't be surprised if they get bounced in the first round. Or even if they get to the first round, they could get bounced in the play-in game, because this team just ain't it. They don't give effort, and the issue is defensively. They don't play good defense. For a team and have a head coach that's a defensive-minded head coach, they don't play good defense at all, and that's the main thing. If you can't play defense, then you won't win in the NBA.
Yeah, and it's killing LeBron. It's killing LeBron. What are they? 2 years away, removed from winning an NBA title, right, in the bubble, and you're looking at LeBron. They're 13 games. They're cooked, man. They're 13 games back of Phoenix in the Pacific, and they're a game below 500, and LeBron's probably thinking to himself, yeah, all right, you know what, I told these guys to pull the trigger and make these moves, but, man, I'm telling you, this is, you never want to see guys, and I'm not saying it's going to be this season, but you never want to see where you start to look at a great player, and not only does the production start to fall off a little bit. Now, granted, he's averaging 29.8. He's the second leading scorer in the NBA, so that's not where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is now you start to get into, all right, last couple of years of my career, I was only winning 20, 25, 30 games on a bad team. You're a guy like LeBron, man. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, it is, especially when you see the pieces that were put around him during his latter part of his career. I mean, if you're the Lakers, why not take that deal in the offseason for Buddy Hield and getting DeMar DeRozan, two players that would have helped you more impactfully than Russell Westbrook at this time. And like you said, if the last title that he won might be the last one that he wins, just based on how the league is changing, how the West is changing, how the West is getting younger, and it seems like his teams are getting older. So like you said, he could be in a spot where we almost look at it like, remember when Jordan was with the Wizards, and it was just like it wasn't nothing to be happy about. It was like kind of like sad to watch in a way, because just like, yeah, like not just the team that you're on, but also, like you said, that production will gradually just start to fall off, because it's just time and age always catches up.
And that's the thing, and that's a good parallels, right? I mean, I think about it in the NFL. Franco Harris ends his career with Seattle. Johnny Unitas with the Chargers, a cup of coffee in '72. Montana with Kansas City. The list goes on and on. Eric Dickerson with the Falcons. I mean, I can just keep naming player after player. Even when Emmett was with Arizona, it was bad to watch, and you certainly don't want to see that. I'm sure there are a lot of people that have such disdain for LeBron that would love to see that. I've always respected LeBron's game. I think he's an all-time great. I look at it as Tom Brady. Enjoy it while they're playing right now. But you're right. I mean, it's going to get ugly quicker than it already has. All right, let's switch gears a little bit, get into the NFL. I believe that we've got the best 8 teams left in these playoffs. Now, I haven't seen a ton of movement thus far. Kansas City has dropped. It's been bet down to 1.5. But I want to go through these games. Now, we got to get you on the record, obviously. It's Thursday, so
Yes.
If you tweet it out, wait till at least Saturday, you can change your mind. So for now, let's start with the AFC side of the ball. Cincinnati and the Titans. Titans are laying 3.5. We're not sure yet with Derrick Henry if he's going to go or not. We know about Cincinnati and Burrow and Chase. Now, I said this. I think the Titans are extremely disrespected, and I think a lot of people will look at them as one of the worst number 1 seeds over the last 25, 30 years. But look, you can't fault them for having Kansas City stub their toe earlier in the season when they were 4-4. So with all that being said, what's your thoughts? What's your play on this game?
Like you said, I agree with you. I think the Titans are definitely getting disrespected, and it doesn't help that they're going against, a hot Bengals team that, a lot of people, are really someone their, support behind. In the latest splits, we're seeing that 54% of the bets are going for the Bengals on the spread, and even 59% of the bets are hammering the money line for the Bengals right now. So there's a lot of Bengals support, and you can't blame them, right? Look how they played against the Raiders. Look at how, Burrow and Chase were able to, to get the job done. Even though the head coach, did some things at the end where they could have lost in the game, they were able to pull it out.
Yep.
That being said, though, I'm going to go with the Titans here. I like the Titans in this spot. Again, they got that first place in the AFC without Derrick Henry. That says enough. Without Derrick Henry and without A.J. Brown and Julio Jones being on the field at the same time consistently over those last few games. So I think they come out with the victory here. The key is for them, can they get pressure and generate pressure on that Bengals offensive line, which the Raiders did not do until the second half. You got to do that from the jump. I expect the Titans' run defense to show up, which has been really good during this, second half of the season. And I just think for offensively, if they get Derrick Henry back, that's great. They still got a couple good running backs behind them, Dontrell Hilliard and Dr. Foreman, who's played well. And it's just going to be it's going to fall on Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's played well in the last 3 games. Can he continue that and not throw that crucial interception or have that turnover that changes the complexity of the game?
Those are excellent points because then it makes you think of San Fran with Jimmy G and, of course, the Rams with Stafford.
Yep.
Speaking of Jimmy G, right, banged up a little bit. Packers well-rested, laying 5.5. I'm telling you, and again, people are thinking I'm crazy here. We love the 49ers with that money line and the points against Dallas. I mentioned this a month ago, I think, with you. If they were going to get in, they would be that, quote, I know we don't like the phrase, but the, quote, team nobody wants to see. You got to run the ball. You got to limit possessions by Green Bay. Maybe Debo has that game where, 185 all-purpose yards and a couple touchdowns. You force a turnover here or there. That's pretty much your path to victory. But 5.5, if it's bet up to 6.5, I like the 49ers with the points.
Yeah, if you, like you said, if you bet it up to like 6.5, that's a very good spot just because I don't think this is going to be a blowout, especially with, again, how we saw this team come out and play last week and just throughout, the second half of the season. They've, played really well on both sides of the ball. Now, right now, like you said, currently at 5, it's 5.5 right now. I would, if it stays at 5.5, then you're probably swinging towards the Packers' way. But if anything higher than that, I agree with you. I think they can keep it close and make it competitive. If they come out the same way how they did last week, which was they punched the Cowboys in the mouth and They continue to dictate the pace, like you mentioned, they should be able to stay close in this game. And one player prop that I do like in this game is the Allen Lazard touchdown. Anytime touchdown, I think it's plus 175 on DraftKings. He's scored at least one touchdown in the last 3 games. And with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, being doubtful for this game, and also Randall Cobb just coming back off the IR, I expect we're going to see a lot of Allen Lazard in this game, especially if the Packers want to make sure that Devontae Adams don't beat them. So I think this could be a nice game for Allen Lazard for anytime touchdown, also for over receiving yards at 38.5 on FanDuel.
Not a bad play. I love the line of thinking in that one. Rams, Bucks. So I guess the one question I think for bettors is, all right, which quarterback do you trust the most or trust more? Is it Stafford or is it Brady? And history would suggest, obviously, it's Tom Brady, even though the Rams had the big win. But again, you're going to have the perception, the notion out there, well, that's because Arizona's play calling was horrible. Kingsbury never realized Ertz was a mismatch against the linebackers. Murray stunk up the joint. Hey, man, I'm not buying any of that. I liked the Rams the other night. I'm a Stafford fan, but I feel as though if I continuously bet against Tom Brady, then I deserve to lose money, if that makes sense. Like you can't do it, right? Until he loses. So
Yeah, no, I've heard everybody say that, right? Saying, throughout this week, you bet against Tom Brady, you're foolish, right? But you come into the spot against a Rams team that have already proven they could beat them, right? Beat them earlier this season in Los Angeles. You look at how, like you said, LA played really well, especially defensively. You had to be really impressed how they played defensively against that Cardinals team, even though Cliff Kingsbury was a train wreck for the most part of that game. And, I think they can keep this game close against the Bucs. I'm actually thinking about playing Rams money line in this game just because the injury concerns on that offensive line for the Bucs, I think, is a real concern, as Ryan Jensen and Tristan Wirfs have both not practiced the last 2 days. And we saw what the Eagles were able to do, getting pressure against that Tampa offensive line. I mean, Ryan Kerrigan had a career day for what it's worth. If Ryan Kerrigan's having a career day, I can only imagine what the Rams defensive line can do to that offensive line. And I think on the flip side, offensively, the Bucs defense kind of got off the hook against an Eagles offense that wasn't that experienced, that didn't have the playmakers to take advantage of certain situations. Now you're looking at a Rams offense that has Cam Akers back in the fold with Sony Michel. Also, Tyler Higbee, I like the way how they're featuring him more in the offense and then wide receivers. I mean, Odell, he's been playing tremendous over the last, month and a half. So I'm leaning towards taking Rams money line, honestly.
Rams ML with the points is where Jovan is. So you are back in your play on that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely am.
All right, confident. Quiet, confident. All right, we can live with that. That's not a bad play. Do you have in front of you any player props for Beckham?
For Beckham, the player props that we see right now.
Yeah.
For Beckham, I'm seeing over 46.5 receiving yards at -115, and that's about it. Nothing for receptions on DraftKings. But right now, over 46.5 receiving yards.
No value in that. Forget that. All right. Yeah. Lastly, the Bills and the Chiefs. Now, we know this is your AFC Championship, right? Rematch of last year's AFC Championship.
Yep.
I hate to belabor the point, but at 4-4, people were foolish if you didn't take a futures ticket on them winning the West at +450, let alone winning the AFC. Right now, the line is sitting at 1.5. I grabbed it at 3. I'm going to hedge it and maybe double up at 1.5. I might play the under in this one. The total is 54. I don't know yet. But I think Kansas City right now on paper is the best team in the NFL. And, it doesn't matter who they insert in that lineup on the offensive side of the ball, man. It's just speed kills. I think we mentioned it the other day. The kid that was with the Vikings, the one running back, now all of a sudden he's making plays in the playoffs. So it doesn't matter who they stick out there. I don't know. I just think this is a really tough spot for Buffalo on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. Like you said, this is the AFC Championship game, and we don't know how Buffalo feels coming off that game that they had against the Patriots, right? Buffalo could have looked at that as their Super Bowl. No disrespect, but the way that they just went out and, blew out the Patriots like it was nobody's business. And like you said, the Chiefs, they're getting healthier at the right time. Not having, Darrell Williams hurt, not having, Clyde Edwards-Helaire being banged up hurts, but like we mentioned earlier, Jerick McKinnon almost weirdly enough fits that offense better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams because of his speed, because of his ability to catch out the backfield. I think he had 6 receptions for 81 yards or something like that. So when you're getting that production come out the backfield, it just makes everybody else that much more deadlier, with Travis Kelce, with Tyreek Hill, and even a guy like Byron Pringle, another guy who's really stepped up the last few weeks. So as me, I'm definitely thinking, take the Chiefs here, either on the spread or on the money line.
Yeah, that's my thought. I mean, do you think these lines are going to move drastically?
I don't think so. I would say only if there was like I would say only if there was like a crazy injury that happened the previous week. That's the only way I could see it like potentially moving.
Yeah, like God forbid Mahomes trips, and he falls down and injures. I mean, knock on wood. Of course, that line's moving 7 points or so. But I don't know that Titans line at 3.5.
And they stayed there for the entire week too.
Yeah. What does that tell you as a bettor?
I guess that for me, I guess that what it tells me is that there's really no I think the books don't have like a way that they think the game can go either way.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. A 50-50.
They think that exactly. I think they think it can go either way. If there was major injury for the Bengals or the Titans, maybe we see a line change. But I would think there would even be a line change with the potential play of Derrick Henry. But we haven't seen no change, a point go down or even half a point down with the potential play of Henry. So I think they're thinking this can go either way right now. And I think that's the public. I think the public right now, as we talked about earlier, is putting all their money on the Bengals to kind of pull this upset.
How much of a swing, though? I mean, look, if Derrick Henry missed 1 week, right? He's missed a ton of time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, adding him, what do you think? A half a point, a point? I mean, it's not like a quarterback where it's definitely going to be 3 to 7 points, depending upon who the quarterback is. I guess, if we know tomorrow Henry's a full go, you see this line being bet up to 4.5 or 4?
Maybe 4. I don't think it would go to 4, the full 4.5. I think we could see it go up for 4 for a minute and then go right back down to the 3.5, which has been at the entire week.
Tell me what you think of this. I'm looking at Green Bay, and it makes I guess you can say it's the logical. You're probably going to say, yeah, I know where you're going with this. But Green Bay and Tampa Bay. So I like that it's sitting at 5.5 for Green Bay. I would tease that down, and then Tampa Bay tease it down and get +3. But I would also, believe it or not, hedge and sprinkle something on the 49ers money line. But what do you think of that tease, Green Bay and Tampa? It seems it's like they're the most logical participants if you're going to tease any 2 games this weekend.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that is the most logical one just because, again, we don't know what's going to happen in Tennessee and in Cincy, and I don't think nobody wants to tease that game down from the 3.5 or the +3.5 that's currently at. And then you look at, the Bills, the Bills Chiefs. I don't know if you want to do that. Like I said, it seems like the most logical thing to do. The Packers should be able to, win this game. This is what they've been leading up to, throughout the entire season. The Bucs the same way. The Bucs, they've been on this mission to, to repeat and, to give them, even if they lose, again, if the Bucs somehow lose it, I don't think they're going to get blown out, get the doors blown off them.
No, I agree 100%. He is Jovan Alford. He joins us every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Back Your Play at Jovan10, staff writer, DK Live, TotalSportsLive.com. I know when are you going to tweet out your player props? Probably Friday or early Saturday?
Probably Friday. Yeah, definitely Friday to see if I, get another look at, see what's out there. Because I think some books are still putting up like some plays that I might want to touch and look at, and I want to see which one we're going to get the belly value. So probably tomorrow, have my plays up.
By the way, you've been getting stuck with some bad beats on your NBA player props, man. I didn't want to.
Yes.
I mean, Well, how about last night? That line, what was it? That Sixers line was 12? 12.5?
Yeah.
Embiid, what did Embiid, I think he went 1 of 2 late from the free throw line to push it to 13. Whew.
Yeah. Something about the Sixers and the Magic. They always play them. The Magic always plays the Sixers tough. That's what that tells me. They always play them tough, and that's where I see a team like the Magic or a young team plays tough. And sometimes I want to stay away from them because they could be the team that backdoors you on any given night.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, right, they had 8 wins going into that game last night. 6 were on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. They some of these young teams, the record is not what they perceive them to be. A team like Orlando is one of those teams that definitely are like that.
Yeah, no, those are excellent points. All right, my friend, great stuff. Awesome insight as always. I look forward to the player props. Hopefully no more bad beats for the divisional matchups. I feel we got a run coming, so you know what? We got some good juju coming our way.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Enjoy the games, pal. We'll talk on Tuesday.
You too.
All right, there you have it. Our guy, Jovan Alford, outstanding stuff as always. 5:42, quick timeout.